This is my 1949 Studebaker 2R5 half-ton pickup truck that my sister and I are in the process of restoring. And today what I wanted to talk about was the restoration of the chassis, which included the disassembling of the frame, getting it sandblasted and powder coated, and then the reassembling of the frame. This is the chassis for my project truck, and I completely disassembled this, and with the exception of the tires and the rims, pretty much everything went down to get sandblasted and powder coated. The frame itself had 7 cross members that kept it together. And here in the front, this first cross member that you see is the one where the radiator support bracket mounts onto that. And the second cross member is actually 3 pieces. It has 2 mounting brackets for the engine mounts, and then it has the cross member that goes across there. And this configuration is what makes this a Type A frame. And that third cross member is where the transmission sits and also where your emergency brake cable is mounted to. This fourth cross member is where the cab gets mounted to the frame of the vehicle. This fifth cross member not only serves to reinforce the frame, but is also the mounting location for the front of the rear mounting brackets for the rear springs. This sixth cross member is really just the mounting bracket for the spare tire system itself. And the seventh cross member serves not only to reinforce the frame, but it is also where the mounting brackets for the rear of the rear leaf springs are connected. I wanted to disassemble my entire frame to ensure that I got to all the rust that was on there. And in particular, I wanted to get to my cross members, which consisted of 2 pieces riveted together, and they were hollow in the middle. And here's an example of my transmission cross member where you can see all the crud that had built up in there. It would have been next to impossible to get the insides of these cross members clean of rust and all that crud out of there without taking these apart. In my last count, there were 84 rivets that I actually ended up removing from the frame just to get it all separated. And in most cases, this is what they look like. And the methods that I used to remove these were either a cutting wheel, a chisel, or in some cases I had to drill them out. I replaced the rivets with 3/8 inch fine thread grade 8 bolts as seen here in the picture, and then torqued those down to about 37 foot-pounds. I did disassemble the entire front axle to include taking the steer knuckles down, tie rods, reach rods, all down, and got those sandblasted and powder coated. In order to get my rear axle sandblasted and powder coated, I first had to get it disassembled. So I found a company that could rebuild the axle, took it to them, they took the axle completely apart, removed all the rubber components and stuff, and then I just took the shell of the axle and the backing plates down to get sandblasted and powder coated. I found 2 local companies that could do sandblasting and powder coating, and so I took these photos and presented them to the 2 companies for bids. And in both cases, the companies came back with a bid of about $2,000 to do the work. Here are the pictures of everything I took to get sandblasted and powder coated. These are laid out in front of the company that did the work. And as you can see, it's got the frame, cross members, got brake parts, brake pedals, stuff like that, headlights and things. And then here's the axle that I actually took and had it taken apart, and then I brought it down for them to do the sandblasting and powder coating. I did want to share a couple of thoughts with you concerning the chassis restoration. Between me and my sister, we put in a little over 200 hours to get this all taken down so we can get to the frame, get it separated, and get it ready for sandblasting and powder coating. And so that's about 200 hours worth of work that if you took it to a shop to have this done, you'd be spending a lot of money probably to make that happen. So it was very beneficial for us to be able to take this apart and do the work ourselves. The second thing is that I'd recommend anytime you could use a credit card for large jobs like this. It's a good thing I used my credit card because we had some billing issues that my credit card company was able to help me to resolve, and so I would just suggest using a credit card anytime that you can. And then lastly, as you look at the sandblasting and powder coating, most of the times I've been getting quotes just for the frame with no axles at about $650 to sandblast and powder coat. And how well that is done is depending on how far apart that frame is taken apart, I believe. For the rear axle, I've received several quotes. For this Studebaker, I received a quote of $250 without me bringing the axle with everything out of it cleaned out, ready for sandblasting and powder coating. But I've also had axles that I've had done that went up to $500 even with everything out of it. And for those items outside of the frame and the axles, I spent about $1,000 for sandblasting powder coating. This included my radiator mounting bracket, leaf springs for the front and the rear, headlight mounting assemblies, cab mounts, brake and clutch pedals, hood hinges, a lot of little mounting accessories for shock levers and different parts on the vehicle. Hopefully this will help somebody else out there. Thank you very much, and bye.